Hello everyone. Yesterday we started the new chapter of the physics, and that was the chapter number 11, the human eye and the colorful world. So we saw that this chapter shows us that where do we use the mirror and the lens in our day-to-day life, and what are their results, or say the outputs. So the first thing what we saw was the human eye. As I told you that human eye is said to be the best camera around the world. Okay, we can see all the things in the three-dimensional forms. Okay, we can identify the objects by visual aspects. Okay, but how does this human eye work? That we saw yesterday. And I hope you all know all the functions of the human eye. Okay, the human eye has a light sensitive screen, also known as retina. Okay, and light enters the eye through a thin membrane called cornea. Light enters the eye through a thin membrane called cornea. Fine. And what is the approximate size of the human eye? The approximate size of the human eye is about 2.3 centimeter in diameter. Okay. And whenever the light is coming, it is refracted on the surface of the cornea. You can see the cornea over here. Fine. In examinations, if they are asking the right to short note on human eye, it is compulsory to draw the diagram of the human eye. Okay, so this is what we call as cornea. The crystalline lens merely provides the finer adjustment of the focal length required to focus objects at the different distances on the retina. So over here the crystalline lens are responsible for the divergence and the convergence of the human eye. Whenever there is more amount of light entering into our eyes, or we need to see a far objects clearly, accordingly the crystalline lens gets adjusted. Okay, so crystalline lens are also used as a focus, which we saw in camera. Okay, whenever we are focusing on any particular things in our mobile phone's camera, the only thing gets cleared, and rather than that everything gets blurred. So this is the same thing happening in the eyes, which is being controlled by the crystalline lens. Okay. There is also then another thing known as iris behind the cornea. Iris is a dark muscular diaphragm that controls the size of the pupil, and the pupil regulates the control of amount of light entering into our eyes. Okay, I hope you are clear with this. The pupil regulates and controls the amount of light entering into the eye. The eye lens forms an inverted real image of the object on the retina. Find what type of image is formed in the eye. It always forms the real and inverted image. Students, we have seen two types of images, and that was the real and inverted, the virtual and erect. If the image is formed beyond the lens and above the x-axis, it will be always the virtual and erect. But if the image is formed on the same side of the lens and below the x-axis, it will be real and inverted. The real and inverted. The light sensitive cells get activated upon illumination and generate electrical signals. The light sensitive cells gets activated upon illumination and generate electrical signals. Find the vitreous and the aqueous humor, what we saw over there, also is responsible for the conversion of light to electrical impulse, because it contains the molecules of water, and we know that water are responsible for the generation of electricity. Okay, and so the light sensitive cells get activated upon illumination and generates electrical signals. These signals are sent to the brain via optic nerves. These signals are sent to the brain via optic nerves. These optic nerves are actually the nervous system or the neurons through which an electrical signal is to be sent to the brain, and we can identify the object kept in front of us. Okay, they are quite fast and works in the fraction of seconds. And thus the brain interprets the signals and finally processes the information so that we perceive objects as they are. The next thing what we saw was the power of accommodation. What is accommodation that we saw yesterday? The ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length is known as accommodation. I repeat, the ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length is called accommodation. That means how clearly we see the most nearby object as well as the most far by object depends on the individual human beings, and that is known as accommodation. The ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length is called accommodation. The nearby point of the eye which we can see clearly, the most near thing object without the strain in the eye is 25 centimeter. It is 25 centimeter. Okay, the ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length is known as accommodation. The most nearby point of an human eye is 25 centimeter. If you keep things closer than 25 centimeter, you cannot see things clearly. Okay. And what is the far point of the human eye? The far point of the human eye is the infinity. It's the unity, or we can also call as infinity, because we can see things as far as we want, but it depends on the individual. Some can see far objects clearly and others cannot. Okay, so there are 2 points, the far point and the near point. The near point is 25 centimeter, the far point is infinity. So the human's eye visible ranges from 25 centimeter to infinity. We also saw one of the disease in the human eye, and that was cataract. If in an old age people the crystalline lens become milky and cloudy, and this can also lead to the partial or complete loss of vision, and that is known as cataract. It is possible to restore vision through a cataract surgery. Okay, the cataract is the milky or the cloudy layer found on the crystalline lens and also can lead to the partial or the complete loss of vision. Okay. Next thing today what we are going to study is the defects of vision and their corrections. As I told you in chapter number 10 that we are going to see two types of defects of vision, and that are also the uses for the correction of the vision of lens. Okay, we studied two types of lens, and that were the convex lens and the concave lens. Here we will be studying that how they are useful for the correction of visions in our day-to-day life. Okay, please pay attention over here. This topic is quite useful for the examinations for us. Okay, so the defects of vision and their corrections. So there are generally two types of common refractive defects of vision, and they are hypermetropia and myopia. You can also say the myopia as nearsightedness and hypermetropia as farsightedness. And the third one is the presbyopia. Okay. These defects can be corrected by the use of suitable spherical lenses. See over here on the figure 11.2, they have also given us the schematic diagram of the myopia. So let us start first with the myopia. The myopia is also known as nearsightedness. Please note this point, students. Myopia is also known as nearsightedness. A person with myopia can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see distant objects clearly, and thus it is known as myopia. Okay, myopia is also known as nearsightedness. A person with myopia can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see distant objects clearly. Fine. Why it is named as nearsightedness? Because you can see things clearly, and that will be the nearby objects. That will be the nearby objects. Okay. A person with defect has the far point nearer than the infinity. See over here you can see that whenever the object was kept, that is O, the far point of the myopic eye should be this. But in the myopic eye in the second number figure, you can see that the object is reaching much nearer than where it should be placed. Okay, and so for this we are using a correction of the convex lens. Sorry, my mistake, the correction of the concave lens. The correction of the concave lens. Okay, so what's it written over here? A person may see clearly up to a distance of few meters in a myopic eye. The image of the distant object is formed in front of the retina and not at the retina. Fine, the image should be formed at the retina, but in the myopic eye, the image is formed before retina. I hope you are understanding these things. Okay, the image should be formed on the retina, but in the myopic eye, the image is formed below retina. Okay, before retina. And this is due to the main two reasons. This defect may arise due to two main reasons. That is the excessive curvature of the eye lens and the elongation of the eyeball. The elongation of the eyeball stands for the eyeball size gets increases. The eyeball size gets increases. It is being stretched. Okay, and or we can also say that the eye lens has an excessive curvature. There is too much of bend in the eye lens, and that can also result to the myopia. Okay. This defect can be corrected by using a concave lens of a suitable power. This defect can be corrected by using a concave lens of a suitable power. So you need to know that the concave lens is the correction for the myopic eye. A concave lens of a suitable power will bring the image back onto the retina, and thus defect is corrected. Fine, I hope you are clear with this. Myopia is also known as nearsightedness. We can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see far objects clearly. Okay, and another thing was what? There are two main reasons for the defects of the myopia, and that is the excessive curvature of the eye lens, and the another was the elongation of the eyeball. Concave lens are the correction for this. I hope you are clear with the myopic eye. In examinations, if they are asking us, you need to draw all the three figures. Okay, or you can also draw the only two figures, that is B and C. The myopic eye and the correction for a myopic eye. It is not that necessary that we need to draw the far point of a myopic eye, but if you are drawing it, it will be well and good. Okay, so moving on to the next thing, and that is hypermetropia. So students, the another name for hypermetropia is also known as farsightedness. It is also known as farsightedness. So what happens over here? The farsightedness, hypermetropia is also known as farsightedness because we can see the distant objects clearly but cannot see nearby objects clearly. Okay, it is known as farsightedness because we can see far objects clearly but cannot see nearby objects clearly, and so it is known as hypermetropia. Over here it is written that the near point for the person is farther away from the normal point, and that was we saw, that is 25 centimeter. Such a person has to keep reading materials much beyond 25 centimeter from the eye for the comfortable reading. This is because the light rays from a closed by objects are focused at a point behind the retina. This defect arises either because the focal length of the eye lens is too long. Okay, it was too short, and over here the focal length of the eye lens is too long. Or say the eyeball has become too small, and there it was, the eyeball of the eye lens has become too long because of the excessive curvature or the elongation, but over here the eyeball has become too small. Okay, but this defect can also be corrected by using an appropriate convex lens. Appropriate convex lens. See over here in figure number 11.3, they have given us the schematic diagram of the near point of the hypermetropic eye, and that is formed exactly on the retina. But for a normal hypermetropic eye, the image is formed beyond retina. The image is formed beyond retina, and so for that we need to find the correction, and the correction is what we call as convex lens. It is the convex lens. For the convex lens, the image is formed exactly on the retina. The image is formed exactly on the retina. Fine. I hope you are clear with this. Okay. So what is hypermetropia? Hypermetropia is a farsightedness. You can see far objects clearly but cannot see nearby objects clearly. The near point of the eye was 25 centimeter, but the object is formed beyond 25 centimeter. There are two main reasons through which you can see that the defect arises, and that is the focal length of the eye lens is too long. The focal length of the eye lens is too long. And the next thing is the eyeball has become too small. The eyeball has become too small. This defect can be corrected by using a convex lens of an appropriate power. And the eyeglasses with converging lens provide the additional focusing power required for forming the image on the retina. Forming the image on the retina. So we are completed students with the two main forms of defects of vision, and that is the hypermetropia and myopia. Okay. And the next thing is presbyopia. The next thing is presbyopia. So what is presbyopia? This presbyopia usually occurs with the aging of the people. When the age increases, the ciliary muscles gets weak. Okay. The presbyopia is the defect which increases by the aging of the people. As the age increases, the ciliary muscles gets weak, and thus there will be a problem for the clear vision of the human eye, and that is also known as presbyopia. Okay. The power of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with the aging. The near point gradually recedes away. They find it difficult to see. Sorry students for interruption. The power of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with the aging. The near point gradually recedes away. They find it difficult to see the nearby objects comfortably and distinctly without corrective eyeglasses. This defect is also known as presbyopia. I repeat, the power of accommodation, that is the adjustment of the focal length, gets decreases by aging. Okay, and so the near point gradually recedes away. They find it difficult to see the nearby objects comfortably and distinctly without corrective eyeglasses. And this defect is also called presbyopia. This defect is also called presbyopia. It arises due to the gradual weakening of the ciliary muscles and diminishing the flexibility of the eye lens. Diminishing the flexibility of the eye lens. Sometimes a person may suffer from both the myopia and hypermetropia, and thus they require two types of lens, that is the mixture of lens, and it is also known as bifocal lens. It is also known as bifocal lens. Okay. A common type of bifocal lens consists of both the concave and convex lens. A common type of bifocal lens consists of both the concave and convex lens. Okay. The upper portion consists of a concave lens. It facilitates the distant vision. And the lower part is a convex lens. It facilitates the near vision. I repeat students, the bifocal lens consists of both the concave as well as the convex lens. The bifocal lens consists of both the concave as well as the convex lens. The upper portion consists of a concave lens. It facilitates the distant vision, and the lower part is a convex lens. It facilitates the near vision. These days it is possible to recorrect the refractive defects with a contact lens also or through the surgical interventions. Fine, you can use the contact lens that you need to directly wear into the eye, or you can also do the operation through the surgical operations. Okay. So over here the question is, what is meant by power of accommodation of eye? As I told you earlier, what is the definition of accommodation of eye? It is given in the power of accommodation. The ability of the eye to adjust its focal length is known as accommodation of eye. Leave the second question. Third, what is the far point and the near point of the human eye? The far point is infinity, whereas the near point of the human eye is 25 centimeter. It is 25 centimeter. Okay. Fine. I hope you are clear with the defects of the human eye. In examinations, if they are asking to write a short note on human eye, what you need to know, what you need to write is the three forms, and that are myopia, hypermetropia, presbyopia. If you are having an extra time, you can also write it in the form of cataract, that is the milky and the cloudy layer that was formed on the human eye. The milky and the cloudy layer formed on the human eye. Okay. Fine. This is, do you know, it is not that important. You go over through it. I am leaving these things. Okay. So the next thing is the refraction of a light through a glass prism. Refraction of a light through a glass prism. Okay, what is prism, students? See, what is prism? This is the prism. Any triangular shaped circle, any triangular shaped any triangular shaped glass is known as prism. So whenever the light enters through this glass prism, it bends. And whenever it comes out of the light, it comes out of the glass, it also gets bent. So there are two types of prism. Okay, let's see that. So the first thing is 11.3, and that is the refraction of light through a prism. You have learned how light gets refracted through a rectangular glass slab. Yes, we have learned that a rectangular glass slab. We also know what is refraction. What is refraction? When the light travels from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, it bends. Okay. When the light travels from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, it bends. And that is also known as refraction of a light through a glass prism. You have learned how light gets refracted through a rectangular glass slab. For a parallel refracting surface is as in a glass slab, the emergent ray is parallel to that of incident ray. Okay, here the emergent ray is also said to be the incident ray. Here the emergent ray is also said to be the incident ray. However, it is slightly displaced laterally. Okay, but how would light gets refracted through a transparent medium? How would a light gets refracted through a transparent medium? Say students, consider a triangular glass prism. Consider a triangular glass prism. It has two triangular bases and three rectangular lateral surfaces. Okay, it has two triangular bases and three rectangular lateral surfaces. I will make the lecture on this as on the whiteboard so that you can understand clearly. Fine, I will draw the figure and how the refraction gets acted on it so that you can understand it clearly, but just now I am telling you orally. The surfaces are inclined to each other. The angle between its two lateral faces is also known as angle of the prism. It is also known as angle of prism. Fine. So over here they have given us the activity, or you can see over here there is a triangular prism naming as ABC, naming as A, B and C. Okay, so what happens over here? See, place a glass prism on it on a white paper in such a way that it rests on a triangular base. Trace the outline of the prism using a pencil. Trace the outline of the prism using a pencil. Draw a straight line PE inclined to one of the refractive indexes, say AB, to the prism. Here you can see that it is AB is the first ray, also known as inclined plane. Okay, and the another angle is AC. Another is AC, and the line which is parallel to the is also known as BC. So we are having a triangular prism naming as triangle AB and C. AB, BC and AC. AB, BC and AC. Fine. So the PE, see, the light is being incident on the triangular region from PE. Okay, from the PE, and then it moves on, goes straight to the GH, and then it bends to the EF. As I told you, when light passes from thinner medium to thicker medium, it bends towards the normal. It bends towards the normal. Over here, N prime is the normal and M prime is the normal. Okay, so PE is the incident ray, EF is the refracted ray. You can see over here the EF is the refracted ray. Fine, students. And angle of incidence is denoted as I, angle of refraction as R, and the angle of emergence from where the EF gets refracted again on the outer side of this prism is said to be the emergent ray. It is said to be the emergent ray. And where both the angles get mixed up at point G, it is also known as angle of deviation. It is also known as angle of deviation. Fine. And where it is angle A, it is known as angle of prism. Angle of prism. I hope you are clear with this. Okay. See, it is written over here, the peculiar shape of the prism makes the emergent ray bend at an angle of direction of the incident ray, and this angle is also called the angle of deviation. This angle is also called the angle of deviation. Okay, in this case angle D is the angle of deviation and marks the angle of deviation in the above activity and measures it. I hope, students, today you are clear with these all things. We see three types of defects of vision, and that was the myopia, also known as nearsightedness, hypermetropia known as farsightedness, and presbyopia also happens due to the weakening of the ciliary muscles and uses two types of lens, that is bifocal lens. That is the bifocal lens. Okay, the refraction of a light through a prism. The refraction of a light through a prism will be done by a triangular glass prism. I hope you are clear with this, students. If you are having any doubt, you please need to know me. Okay, thank you.